Welcome to episode 35 of the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. We have another special guest this week. I'm super excited, always to bring in amazing people to share with you guys. This week, we're going to be talking about live video and not only just live video, but how you can maybe conquer some fear factors, how you can set up your live studio so that you can show up and feel confident and do some amazing things with your show. So I'm really excited because I've known Ian, how long? When did we first met each other? I think at Social Media Marketing World, I think, was the first time we had a face-to-face. That's been at least 5 or 6 years ago, right? It's been a minute.
It was. Well, I was looking through my Google Photos, and I found a photo. It's the first time I'd met you at Social Media Marketing World 2015. We'd known each other online, probably Google Plus, and we're not going to talk about Google Plus too much because I'll start crying. But
do we admit that? Yeah. Do we admit that we?
Oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that. But yeah, it was 2015. Yeah. And although we only get to see each other once a year at Social Media Marketing World, it's been so great to get to know you, and it's just been fab.
Well, in case y'all didn't know or haven't noticed it yet, the only reason we don't get to see each other very often is he's across the pond. But listen to that amazing accent, right? So as you guys are coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you? And we'll do a few things before we get to asking some questions and picking Ian's brain. So like all of my shows, we like to give some stuff away. And we're going to do it slightly differently today. This show is sponsored by Easil.com. And Easil is a graphic design tool, very similar to some of the others like, PicMonkey or Canva. But what I really love about Easil is they have amazing pre-designed templates. So you can't even begin to compare them to any other of the any of the other design tools for template purposes. They have a team of graphic designers, and they pump out new designs every day. So great content there. And you guys, if you are interested in figuring that out, want to check them out, rather, you can go to kimgarst.com/Easil. Great little resource. Highly recommend that you guys check them out. And if you hang in there with me, I've got a free gift for everybody today that I've partnered up with Easil on. You're going to love it. I'm going to reveal it a little later in the show, okay? If you know somebody that is interested in this concept that we're talking about today and would love to hear an amazing accent from across the water, then come on, invite them in, sprinkle it out in the interwebs, as my friend Molly says. Let people know, tag them below, whatever. Get on in here because we're going to have a great show today. I'm excited about our topic. And let's see, another thing on the giveaways. We're giving away 2 things today. One is our standard little webcam cover so nobody can spy on you, and then a ring light. But the way you win is you have to drop in your aha moments, like hashtag aha, and let us know what your aha moments are, and in response to a specific question. So we're going to start with this question today. Let me pop it up on the screen. There we go. Oh, hang on, I clicked twice. What's your biggest fear when it comes to using live video in your business? Like, what's the, when it comes to sitting down in front of the camera, are you worried that people are going to judge you? Or, and by the way, there is no judgment here. Whatever your answer is whatever your answer is. We want to pick Ian's brain a little bit and have him give us some tips and strategies around how you kick that stuff to the curb, though. So let us know. There's my friend. Look at the sweetness. Here's Molly says, yay, love you so much. Yeah, I was using your sprinkle word this morning, girl. And we have Paul. Paul, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being, you're always here. Paul is one of their regulars. So appreciative of you. We have Karen. Hey, Karen from St. Louis. Wisconsin in the house. There we go. And so Deb is saying judgment. Fear is real. Yes, it is. But there's great things on the other side of fear, right, Ian?
Definitely. Yeah, and I can speak from experience.
Oh, here's a great one. So Colin is saying of using live video, she's afraid she won't look professional enough. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Not only just, kicking some of those fears and encouraging you to use live video, but we're going to talk about things like your backdrop, your lighting, your camera, audio, all of those things. And Laura says that my internet connection will fail. Oh, let me tell you. So today I'm in Virginia. My dad is 95 years old. He had a little spill a couple of months ago, and my sister has been primarily taking care of him. And I'm up trying to give her a break. But we're in the middle of nowhere, and so my internet connection is spotty. So if my camera is not uber awesome today, well, y'all just forgive me. We're working it. That's all I can say. So just know I understand that fear, but it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So Jody is saying, how do you get over being a chicken? Oh, you just got to get over it. It's not about you at all. It's all about who you're here to serve, right, Ian?
That's the biggie, isn't it?
Yeah. That is it. It's not about us at all. It's about how do we show up and make a difference for someone else. So I know we talked about the fact that we've known each other for a long time, but how did you get started in live video?
Yeah, so I would love to say that it was like purely strategic. It was planned right from the start, but I would be totally lying if that was the case, as is quite often the case with people in our industry, in our world. I kind of transitioned into this slowly over time. So my background, years and years ago, I trained as a professional classical singer, but I was always interested in technology. So back in 2011, I started blogging, and I was really interested in social media tools. So that was my thing. And then it was back in around 2016, and this is when Facebook Live became a big thing. And so it's great that Molly Mahoney's in the room, because it was actually with Molly and a few other people. We were on stage at Social Media Marketing World, and we were putting on a musical, and I was singing there with Molly and a few other people as it was parody. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm able to bring in my background in singing, my love of technology, in front of an audience. And it was at that time that Facebook Live came about, and I wrote an article that basically explained how to go live. And back in those days, it was really hard to go live. You had to jump through loads of hoops. So I just realized, and that by the way, that article went completely mad. It has had over 6 million page views. And I then realized, okay, that's great, but there's one problem. I needed to get over my fear of going live, because I'm going to be honest with you, I was really scared of getting in front of the camera. I see a lot of comments. We talked about perfectionism, procrastination, not liking the way you look and the way you sound. And I was suffering from all of those things, and I had to get over that, because ultimately my aim was to help people with their confidence, with the technology. And that's what I discovered back in 2016. It's just taken rather a long time to actually get to where I am today. So just an encouragement to you all. If you're struggling, you can do it. You just need to persevere with it. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today, Kim, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I've heard some people use very strong language, like I'd rather just jump off of a cliff, than go live. And it's real. That fear is absolutely real. And that was definitely me when I first started. I've been like, yeah, no, that's not happening. It was purely by accident. And really what grabbed me and got me to just myself It's really all the things that we fear and we hold ourselves back. We're just in our own way. It's all about us. It's like, well, just look at all those pointing back at you. Perfectionism. My nose is shiny. My hair is, going to stand up, or light's going to fall on my head, or I've got a squeaky voice, or whatever, or imposter syndrome. All those things are about us, instead of it. And at the end of the day, you just got to, well, it's easy to say. So that's what I want to ask. Do you have some basic tips that you can share? Because it's a common problem. Almost everybody starts at that fear factor. Do you have some common tips that you can share to help people overcome that?
Yeah, certainly. So there are lots of things, and we can approach this in different ways. The first thing I would say to you is you are not alone. When you see what a common problem that we all suffer from is we look at other people, we compare ourselves with other people, comparison syndrome. And so you might look at me, you might look at Kim and say, well, it's all right for them. They're ultra confident. They can do it, but I can't do it. I'm just really scared. And what we all forget is that we're comparing ourselves with maybe their 100th video. Kim's been doing this for a long time. But when she started, and Kim said that she was afraid, I was afraid. I mean, so you've stop comparing yourself with their 100th video. And then the second thing is to remember why you're doing it. It's not about you, as Kim said, it's about your audience. So the thing that really, really helped me is I put together a plan, a strategy document. And this sounds really boring, but it's so important. I put down there the reasons why I was going to go live, who my audience was, and I basically read that document every time I was going to go live, so that I knew exactly what I was doing, who I was presenting this to. The second thing that I would recommend doing is do some tests. Do some test lives. Instagram stories is a great way to just get some confidence in front of the camera. Just spend like a couple of Instagram video stories every day for a week, and you'll start to get a little bit more confident about that as well. Remember, again, it's not about you, it's about your audience. I think that it's the bits about ourselves that we don't like. It's I don't know, for example, my accent. I know Kim's very kind about my accent, but sometimes I get a little bit, I don't know, I get self-conscious about my accent. Or I'm quite short, I'm 5'4", so I might get self-conscious about that, although that doesn't really matter in front of a camera. So there's things like that I can get self-conscious about, but it's those bits, it's the bits that I might not like about myself, the bits that make me different, that my perfect audience really love. And so that's what I would say to you. If there's something about you that you don't like, embrace it. That's easier said than done, but the only way to do it, and I hate to say this, is to just do it. Schedule your live shows is a great way, because if you schedule, and I'm pronouncing it the correct American way, not as I say, schedule your live shows, because then if you schedule it in advance, guess what? You have to turn up. You have to do it. So, do that, and then you will have to do it and progress that way.
So I have a quick story to tell about the accent. So I don't know if you know this, Ian, but here in the U.S., I think we have a fascination with accents. So when Periscope first started, there was a lot of, big scopers. That's what that had awesome accents. You had Alex Kahn from Germany, and I forgot the other guy, Alex, somebody, he was from the UK. All kinds of people with amazing accents. And I'm like, I feel like I was trying to compete with all these people with great accents. And I'm like, I need an accent. I got to have one. And then somebody said to me in the comments, girl, you got one. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so I guess it's the Southern thing, or I'm assuming people in other countries feel like my accent's different than theirs. So the point of it is we all have the thing that we probably think we don't in some other format or some other variation of it. So just embrace it, because there's things that you may not like, and just own it. And then people, it's not that you're trying to get people to cater to things that you feel uncomfortable about, but they don't they don't judge you like you judge you're your own worst critic,
Oh yeah.
in my opinion. So if you can just get over yourself, it really is hard, I think, when you first get started. But I wished I'm going to have to go dig in later and see if I can find my very first Periscope, because literally it was first seen was my nose hairs. So because I didn't know exactly how to do it, so I had my phone in my hand, and so y'all, it gets much better. Alex Pettit, there you go. Paul said, yeah, that was the other guy he was from the UK. So it's just about understanding that if you don't put yourself out there, you're doing yourself a disservice, but more importantly, you're really cheating other people. I'm just going to give you some tough love. You got amazing things in you. You need to get out there and share them. So, all right. So let's get started on the actual pieces and parts. Like, I know this is let's assume that you all of you, we've convinced you that you just got to get over yourself and you're going to get to it. You're going to start live streaming. And some of you may be already. I know some are live streaming, but they're, wanting to up their game a little bit when it comes to their actual production. They're, maybe the way their show looks. What is your take on having a dedicated spot to live stream from versus just going live wherever you are?
Well, I think you can have the two different things. That it doesn't have to be one or the other. I do think it's a good idea to have like one place, a safe place where you can go live, particularly if you're going to level things up and go live from your computer. So and by the way, you do not need all of this. So I don't want this to be an excuse to not go live. I'm a massive believer in bootstrapping your live video studio and start off small. So you don't need a fancy microphone, but over time you can do that. And also it's a place where if you're like most people at the moment and you're working from home, then your family or whoever is in your house know that is your live room and they're not going to disturb you. So I think that's really good. It's also a place where maybe you can test your internet connection as well and make sure that's working and everything's good. But it's not to say that you shouldn't go out and about and do a live video giving your thoughts. So there's a great there's lots of different types of live that you can do. And a friend of mine, Sam Ashdown, came up with a great acronym which is called BLAST, or if you're from the south of England, it would be BLAST. And that is behind the scenes content, local content, a day in the life content, a sneak peek content, and finally tips and advice. And if the local content is great because you can take your phone, you can go out and about, you can give your thoughts. Maybe a sneak peek is great for that as well. But for the tips and advice and for the pillar content, the evergreen content, I do think it's good to have one place where you can share your expertise and your knowledge. And that's going to be the beginnings of your live video studio.
I love how you broke that down. One of the things for me that was always a challenge was the constant movement of my studio. Like, I was like, okay, I had this set here and that set there, and then I'd have to move the lights and the camera, and it was a pain for me. And because it was such a pain, I would talk myself out of not doing it. I would just say, oh, well, I won't go live today. And so my suggestion is, if that's your struggle, then just put a dedicated place in place. It made such a big difference for me to just say, here, all my stuff in one place, my lights, my mic, my camera. All I have to do is sit down and go for it. But there is a lot of value. I agree with Ian totally, of just like in the moment going live. You're in your backyard, or you're at the pool, or you're at the beach, or anything that's you're out and about and it's life, or you're sharing a live event, or there is opportunity. But if you're holding yourself back from live video because you don't have a stationary place and you're always hustling to put the pieces together, then just set up a place. So that said, I love what Ian said about you don't have to have fancy stuff out the gate. I mean, when I started, like most of y'all, I just had my smartphone. And then I would do, when we got really fancy, we were doing multiple devices, going live on Periscope on one device and Facebook on another device before you had tools like we're using now where you could simulcast. But when it comes to you're scared of spending all the money, don't. Just get started. You can just get started as simply as your phone. Phones these days too are so much better than even 5 years ago. So, but what is a baseline for you, in your opinion, Ian? If somebody wants to get started, is it just as simple as, hey, let's, what would you recommend is just like, hey, I got a $50 to $100 budget. What could people start with that kind of a budget?
Yeah, so it depends on whether we're going to go from mobile, a smartphone live studio, or a desktop. And as Kim said, keep it simple. Just if you're not so sure and you want to build up your confidence, then just go live on your smartphone first. So the things that you can do with that is, first of all, I would recommend getting some kind of tripod. And you can buy tripods really, really cheaply. You can buy a smartphone mount. So this is, I don't think I've got one handy, but basically it's a little plastic thing that you screw on top of a tripod, and then you can clamp in your phone. And that's just going to give you a bit of stability. It means you can move your hands around. It just gives you a little bit more confidence. The second thing, and probably the most important thing actually, is a microphone. Now, you don't have to spend a lot of money on a microphone. In fact, the one I'd recommend is around, I believe it's around $15. And it's made by a company called Boya, B-O-Y-A. And it's the Buy-M1. It's not got the sexiest title, but it's really inexpensive. And it's lapel mic, and you plug it directly into your phone. So I think that audio is even more important than video. If people can't hear you, they're more likely to switch off. So you can plug that directly into your smartphone. So that's smartphones. From a desktop point of view, you can go live just with your laptop. You could use your inbuilt microphone and inbuilt webcam. But again, to level things up, I recommend, first of all, getting an external microphone. There are loads of different ones. I started off with the Blue Yeti. Not a particularly cheap one. It's around $100, but there are cheaper. You could, again, use the Boya. Buy M1, if I can get the name right. And also, if the other one is the Samsung Q2U, which is a really nice microphone, and it's inexpensive. And then in terms of webcams, if you can afford a webcam as well, then the Logitech range are great. I like the C920 camera, which is really inexpensive. It's quite old now, but it works really, really well. So start off with a microphone, then if you can, get a webcam.
So let me see what the name of this, Apogee, Apogee. But I literally, I put this in the suitcase and brought it with me because it's super small. It unscrews from my little tripod thing, just another option. The reason I like this one is because it's so small. I can literally it's about this big, and I can just pop it in my suitcase or my laptop bag, and away I go. I think I'm using that C1 Logitech, whatever you just quoted right now, but the Brio is also really good. The problem you're going to find right now, is that it's hard to find some live streaming resources right now because everybody's snapped up all of the cameras, webcams and stuff when kids had to start attending school at home and all this kind of stuff. So they're a little hard to come by right now, but most of the Logitechs are really good options. So when it comes to your backdrop, let's talk about that real quick, because I think sometimes people think that they have to have a fancy studio or a set. And I thought that. So I wanted my my backdrop to look nice, and so I went to a lot of trouble, especially initially. And then I I actually went in reverse. You know how sometimes people they start on the cheap and then they get more and more. But I found that I went all out initially, and I was like, man, I don't need to go all out. So like when we closed the office and I moved back to my home office, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I went to Home Depot and I bought a couple of panels of that fake brick, and that was my backdrop, and I put my furniture in front of it. Boom, I was done. And like now I've got a white wall behind me. I see you have a very simple backdrop yourself. What's the tips that you give people on something that would look professional without spending an arm and a leg on it?
So I just want to be honest, first of all, because I want to share a little story about this, because I think we can get obsessed and start to worry about our backdrop. As you can see, my backdrop is maybe not the most exciting. In fact, if I move, you can see my Confident Live banner there, which is kind of my headers obscuring. So it's not perfect. But you see, a couple of years ago, I didn't go live for 2 months because I was worried about my background. I was obsessing. I was thinking, I can't go live until I get it all sorted out. And do you know what? I realized at the end of it, I was being selfish. This is kind of what we were saying right at the start. I was being selfish because I was obsessing over something that ultimately didn't really matter. So that's the first thing I want to say. Don't obsess. If this is a reason why you're not going live, don't do what I did. And thankfully, I came to my senses. And it's the same with the camera. I think I wanted to get a really good camera. Now I've got a really good camera. But I in the end, I decided, look, it doesn't have to be perfect. I need to just go live. So some things that you can do to make it better, your backdrop. And this is what I'm going to be looking at. We're actually in the middle of moving. We're not in the middle, but we will be moving house soon. So I've not invested that much in my backdrop at the moment. But you know what? Get a plant. Plants are really good. It gives a little bit of interest. You can buy either an artificial plant or just buy a nice real plant and put it in the background, maybe on your left or right. That's really good. If you've got some books or a bookcase behind you, or some shelving, that can look really good as well. But I think when it comes to this, it's adding a little bit of personality, but don't make it too much. Don't overdo it. I'm personally, I don't know what you think, Kim, but I'm more into the more minimalist look because I don't want it to be distracting. Because ultimately, the most important thing is my message. It's what I'm saying. It's my communication with my audience. It's the conversation that we're having. So my advice is don't overcomplicate it. Get a plant. That's always a good thing. Maybe get some books or something that is you. If you're a musician, if you play the guitar, maybe kind of put a guitar behind you or something like that, and just make it interesting without going too over the top. So that's what I would suggest. Keep it really simple.
Yeah. So
there is one other thing I forgot to mention. Don't know if you can see it, but there's a little blue tinge there, and that is I've got a little Philips Hue light, so I can change this. This is getting a bit more technical, but I can change the color from my phone. So you can get these Philips Hue bulbs, and then just change the color. And they're not too expensive, these. But if I
and they give you that little bit of a glow on the back, right?
Yeah, that little glow. So you can see I'm red there. I'm now blue. So that's maybe another thing. It doesn't have to be Philips Hue, but just get some nice color behind. That was one thing I forgot to mention. I think that's quite a good way of doing it.
Yeah. But just there's some really clever things these days. Especially if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can most of the time. I think everything you need is right in your home. You probably just haven't thought of it in the context of how you position things. If you have a white wall, like you could do that. You could do maybe a bookshelf, like Ian was talking about. But there's some other suggestions. There's some nice like paper backgrounds that you can buy on Amazon these days. Like I said, I went to Home Depot and I bought, I spent, I think $25 a sheet. I bought 2 of them or 3 of them, I think. And now I have a brick wall backdrop. We just nailed them up and, they look pretty darn good. so that's an option. I think the thing with your backdrop, your set, if you will, is you can build on that. When I first started with really getting professional, if you will, with the live sets, I had multiple live sets, because I wanted multiple looks. And at the end of the day, nobody ever really pays attention. That's what I found, is nobody really comments on my flowers and my backdrop, or my picture on the wall. You want it to look professional. You might not want your laundry back there, but I don't know that it has to be fancy smancy. Now there's also and somebody asked about this, so that was my next question, is because there's a lot of opportunity with this, especially if you're doing Zooms and stuff these days. What's your thoughts on the green screen, or maybe like the fake set look?
Yeah, so I've got a green screen. It's just down there. I can't show it to you at the moment, but I've got it's used a lot. It's from Elgato, and it's the pull-up green screen. And when I got it, I used it a lot, and I still use it occasionally. But I think you've got to be careful. If you use green screen, you've got to have a reasonably good camera, and you've got to have good lighting, because green screens are difficult to look okay. I've seen when green screen and people have got this like green like halo or green kind of like silhouette all over them, and the lighting's off, and maybe that it's almost like they're disappearing into the green screen, or maybe the backdrop looks a little bit fake. Now I think sometimes they can look good. I did this. When I first started, I put a fake brick background, and that looked really good. It's also very good if you're giving presentations. So something that I sometimes do is, and I use with the likes of Ecamm or some other live video software, you can remove the background and then you can appear on top of your slides. And that looks really professional. So for things like that, I like green screens. But you can't really beat just an authentic background that you've created that looks more personal. So I would say, yes, use it for presentations. Use it if, for example, and this was the case with me, my background was I had a very messy bookcase, because I'm going to blame the kids now. But so I had to cover it with something. But yeah, green screens, they can be good, but just be aware they are difficult to get right. You need a good camera and good lighting.
And good lighting. That's been my experience with green screens, is your lighting has to be really good too. I have the same Elgato screen, and I love the green screen. I love that particular one because it's like, if any of you go back to like high school days, where they would pull down the screen from the ceiling, and, you just pull it and it would pop back up into the ceiling, except it comes up from the ground, you just basically pull it up and then you pop it right back down. So it's super easy. And I've had those green screens where they fold up, they pop up and then you have to fold them up. Except they wrestle me to death trying to get them put back together. So I was like, screw that. No, that's not a good strategy. So I invested in that Elgato green screen, and it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
So there's also other ways, like I'm going to just highlight a couple of other strategies to brand your videos. And, like you can put some looks, like this on, so that you have your show looks branded to your colors. I think we used this one for one of my courses. I've got a few others here. Let's see. I've got just a standard, just the Kim Garst Live. So you can create little show templates, if you will, that a lot of the tools these days allow you to, create. And again, it gives, I don't know about you guys, I would love your opinion on this, because this, when you see this, do you even pay attention to what's the fact that my chair is behind me, or my wall is white, or what's in Ian's background? You probably don't. In fact, I'd just love to hear from you. Do you even pay attention to that, or are you more focused on just the speaker and perhaps the front facing part of the show, this visual component, if you will. Yeah, I just love to know what your all's thoughts all are. So Valerie saying, I love your overlays. I agree. I love the hue lighting idea. And what are those called again, Ian? Those lights?
The Philips
I saw
Hue.
somebody. Yeah, the Philips. Is that what they're called? Philips Hue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Philips is the brand name. It's HUE, and yeah, I've invested in a couple of them, and I think they're really good because you can change it. You make it easy. You can change the color from your phone. And I think we want easy to use when it comes to live video. If we can make everything as easy as possible, that's good.
Okay, so I love this. So I love hearing this. So Carolyn is saying she does pay attention to the backgrounds. And Chuck is saying, I check out the background and then focus on the speaker. And let's see. And my team actually created this, but you can do them inside of Canva or Easil. By the way, Easil actually has pre-designed show templates already. So all you have to do is go type in, I think it's video, I forgot what it was, a video live show or something. Anyway, they have pre-designed show templates, themes, if you will, over there. So
they look really good, and they've kind of hollowed out, so you can pop out of the little bits, whatever you call them, the blocks.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool little they've got some good stuff over there. You definitely need to check out. So let me just pull them up here. Another plug for my friends over at Easil. They're the sponsor for this show, but you can check them out at kimgarst.com /Easil, guys. Don't forget, sprinkle this out if you know anybody that's interested in learning more about upping their live show presentation. I saw some comments about, the actual set. The set is everything. It's all encompassing. It's your backdrop. It's, your lights, which you're getting ready to talk about. It's your camera, your audio. It's all those things. So let me share another story. So when I first started with live video, the whole lighting thing, there wasn't a whole lot of options really then. So, natural lighting was really what we tried to use. And then somebody introduced me to the ring light, and I was like, this is Botox in a bulb. This is so amazing. I was really fascinated by the ring light, but it showed on my, I would have a ring on my light, my glasses. So I was like, well, then I would have to offset it. And then it didn't give me the same Botox look, anyway. So if somebody, again, is trying to do this on the cheap, what would you recommend for lighting, Ian?
Well, if you can cope, if you can do it during the day, then you can't beat the daylight. You can't beat the sun. So if you have an office where you're facing a window, then that's great. The problem with that is obviously you can't do that in the evening. If you live in a place like I am, it's just south of Manchester in the UK, it's raining, it's grey sky, it's a bit depressing. And you want something that is going to be a bit easier to use. So I recommend getting, you can buy relatively inexpensive lights that are soft boxes. But the problem with soft boxes are they're big, they're hefty, you have to put them up and down. So I recommend going for LED lights. If you can get a couple of small LED lights, the company I really like is called Neewer. That's Neewer. Get a couple of those that you can clamp to your desk. That's a great way just to start. Just start with one or two, and that's a really good place to start. And again, over time, you can grow this, you can build this over time. I've got some bigger LED lights, and then probably the next thing I will go for something like the Elgato key lights. The problem with them is, they're great in that you can change the color, like the hue, but they're a bit more expensive. So yeah, start off with small LED lights, and then over time, once you're more confident, once your budget increases, there are always things that you can do for later.
So another story. Sorry, I keep telling all these stories, but if I can help save somebody money, I'm all about that. And when I say save money, I over the years have bought probably everything, and I'm like a tech. I love the tech. You know, our friend Jeff C will say, "Oh, I heard about this," and I'm like, "Oh, where do I buy that? I gotta go buy it." You know, so I've accumulated a lot of like live video tech related stuff, lighting in particular. So like you said, I have the box lights, I have all the ring lights, I have multiple ring lights, I've got a bunch of stuff. But again, thanks to my friend Jeff, he put me onto the Elgato lights. And yes, they are a little bit more expensive, but rather than have you buy something that is going to be a temporary fix for you, versus just investing in something that's going to save you so much time and hassle. I'm all about sharing, you know, that kind of stuff. So the Elgato lights, yes, they are more expensive, but I want to demonstrate them for you real quick. I love doing this because I'm on my desktop right now, but I could also use my phone to, in fact, I'll just use my phone because you guys can see me doing this. I'm going to pull up the app, and then I'm going to mess with the lighting a little bit just so you can see. So I'm warming it up right now. You can see, you know, gives me a little bit more of an orangey touch. So literally I'm able to, with my finger, just slide my lights around until I like the way they look. So if the lighting is slightly different for that, you know, time of the day or location you're at, and they sit on your desk. So, and they are above you, so they're adjustable. They are the best investment in lighting that I've ever made. So I just thought I'd share that real quick. Maybe I'll save you some headaches.
That's really good to know. And I think you mentioned one really important point there, Kim, because this is the problem that I have with my lights, is that if I want to change the color temperature, oh, that's the technical phrase, if I want to change the color or the brightness, I have to go behind it. And of course, then I can't see. So the great thing about the Elgato lights is you can do it, and you can do it from your phone. If you want, you can get these fancy, you can get one of these, the Stream Decks, which I love. These little things, but you don't need to, and it's just a lot easier to get that sorted, because lighting is, I think it's one of the most difficult things to get right. It really is hard, I think, getting the lighting. So, and I agree with you. It really is, and you know, with the ring lights as well, because where you're wearing glasses, it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yes. It is. So like, as you guys can see right now, I've got my glasses on. The lights are above me and they shine down on me versus being directly in front of me. So the reflection is not as great. Yeah. And then another little strategy, if you do wear glasses, because people are always asking me this, and I learned this from a photographer, is set your glasses kind of above your ears a little bit and kind of angle them down. So that it takes off the glare of glasses too. So I always try to throw that little tip out there. It's Elgato, Elgato. I think we can probably, yes, my team just dropped in, Rhonda, she's so awesome. She just dropped in a link to the toolkit, and all that stuff is in there. All the links to those little Elgato lights. Okay, so we talked just a little bit about tripods, and several people mentioned Archon mounts. I love the Archon mounts too, but you can get any kind of little cheap tripod, honestly, and it'll be fine. But let's talk about cameras. Now, I know we talked about webcams, but let's circle back to that just a little bit, because I've been down this road a lot. I've had multiple conversations with Jeff. I keep bringing Jeff up about the whole concept of, okay, I want that fancy look with the faded out background. So how do you get that? Like, if you want it a little bit higher end and, you know, you want to, you know, really up your game, what do you have to make that happen?
So you're not really going to get that with a webcam. So you can up level. There's the Logitech Brio, which is a 4K camera. It's a higher resolution. Personally, I haven't had great success with it, but I know a lot of people who have. So that is good. But if you want to get that blurred background, that is called, I think it's called bokeh if you're being a photographer and using the professional word. But you need to use a camera with a high or a wide aperture. So it's got to have a lens that has this wide opening, so that it gives you that blurred background. So you need to find a camera. And this is where it gets a little bit more tricky. You need to kind of get a recommendation to find a camera that you can use with your computer, because not all cameras are compatible. So the camera that I use a Canon M50 camera. That works well. You can plug that directly in via USB if you use particular software. I can talk about that in a bit, but that works as a nice camera. I have another lens. I can find out the exact information later, but that's good. There's also the Panasonic range, the Lumix range, like the G, I forget, is it the G4 or the G7? They're good. And there's also the Sony range as well. But you need to find a camera that has a wide aperture on the lens. And you also need to make sure that you can plug it directly via your computer, either via USB, which is what I'm doing now. If you're on a Mac, you can use something like Ecamm Live, which will allow you to do that, or there are other ways of doing it. If you're on a PC, you can plug it directly if it's a Canon, or there's some other software, the Sparko Cam, which allows you to do it. So there are a few extra hoops to go through, but it is well worth doing because you get a much more professional look. I'm using the Canon M50 right now, and I really love the look and feel of it.
Yeah, that's actually the same camera I use. I'm not using it right now, but my internet connection being what it is. But before I have a few more questions for you, but I want to ask everybody else a question. I'm going to throw it up, and this is another opportunity to win a prize, specifically the little webcam cover. So what is your preference, a podcast or a live show? Like, where do you spend your time? And it's okay if it's both. I would love to know, like, what's your favorite? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you tune in to live shows to learn and grow, or just have fun? Whatever it is, drop in #AHA so that we know and can choose a winner. Okay, so what is one of the biggest trends that you see in the video space right now that nobody's talking about?
I think I'm a massive believer in the whole repurposing side of things. So I do see a few people talking about it. I know that you're talking about it, Kim, but this is basically you going live, but you're also turning it into a podcast, into a blog post, into lots of other pieces of content. And although there are obviously a lot more moving parts, you've got to think about not just your live viewers, you've got to think about your replay viewers, and you've got to think about your podcast listeners as well. I think it's a great way to create content. And this is what I do every week on my show. I find it's a great way. I'm putting all the effort into my live show. I'm planning it. I'm either doing it solo or I'm bringing in a guest. Why not also record it as a podcast and turn that into a blog post at the same time and just getting more power from your live shows. So I see a few people doing that, but not as many as I would assume. And I think that's probably going to increase over time because we want to be really, I think we want to be clever with our time. And that's a great way of doing it. So I think more repurposing. And the other thing that goes with that is the idea of multi-streaming. So this is broadcasting not just to Facebook, but maybe Facebook and YouTube, or Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And that way you can. That's becoming so much easier now with all these new live video tools, or live video tools are adding that as a new feature. So more multi-streaming is definitely being. I'm seeing that a lot more now.
Yeah, which leads me to one of my last questions for you. And I just was going to showcase some of the comments back. Quite a few saying both directions. You know, some were saying live show. Let's see. So Karen says live, but do love podcast. Deb saying live show over podcast. Matt saying a live show. So we got quite a few different, Jeff saying live show that repurposed into a podcast. He's saying that to me right now, y'all. He is. We've been working towards that. We just haven't quite pulled the trigger yet, but yeah, we do repurpose the content a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot more. It is more work, isn't it? It is more work, but yeah. I think that the reason that I did it is I can kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone, and then the other thing is that I think actually, depending on your audience, you know, everyone's audience will be different, but I knew that probably about 50% of my audience were podcast listeners. Even though my live show is about broadcasting live, not everyone wants or is in the position to watch something live. Some people want to listen to it as they're going out and about, or they're driving, or they're doing the washing up. And so that's why I love podcasting as well as live.
Yeah. And sometimes it attracts a different audience altogether, you know, which I think is also smart. And anytime you can multi-purpose or repurpose, or however you want to word it, and spend one block of time creating a piece of content that you can leverage in other ways, it's just wicked smart. We do repurpose our live shows quite a bit. Have a plan for the podcast. We're still working on it though, thanks to Jeff. He's the mastermind behind that. So I have one last question. You kind of led me right into this one. When it comes to doing what we're doing right now, where we're multicasting, like right now I'm on Facebook Live, Periscope / Twitter, LinkedIn Live, and thank you, YouTube. Rhonda's whispering across the room at me. I was like, where am I live? But YouTube. So 4 places right now. I know there's some really great tools out there. What do you recommend? I know you stay on top of it. You've got your finger on the pulse of a lot of the greatest tools out there right now. So can you give us some opinions on what's great and fairly easy for anyone to use?
Yeah, so, well, the first thing I would say is if you're just starting off with live, don't start with multi-streaming. Just keep it simple. Broadcast to one destination first, because you can, it's a lot easier to speak to one audience. But once you've got the confidence and you want to then start to broadcast to more than one, that's great. There are loads of tools out there. Probably, I mean, the one that I use the most is Restream, because that allows me to, I think it's probably got the most different places you can stream to. You can actually stream to over 30 different destinations at once. And the other thing about that I like about Restream is that you can use any tool with it. So if you're used to using Ecamm, you can use Ecamm with Restream. If you're used to using OBS, which is a bit more of a scary live video tool, then you can use that with Restream. Or they've got their live video studio, so you can go into Restream Studio and just use it very easily, so you can bring in guests and do all that kind of thing. So my preference is Restream, but there's loads of different tools out there, and it's really a case of you finding what works for you. Test a few of them out and see what works for you. But there's a lot of choice now, and it's a lot easier now. I mean, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. If you wanted to go live to multiple places, you needed to build a server. You needed to be a developer and be all uber geeky. Nowadays, it's so much easier. But yeah, that's what I would use.
Yeah, and there's a couple of others like StreamYard. Is definitely that's what I'm using right now. But if you were on a Mac or an Apple, whichever way you want to, both same beast. But Ecamm is also a really good little tool. So there's lots of options for those who are maybe just a bit challenged when it comes to the tech end of things. These tools aren't something that the average person can't embrace, you know, without mad tech skills. I'm a big fan of StreamYard for just that reason. I feel like it's super easy to use. I've tried some of the others. Ecamm, I think I love Ecamm too, but it messes my organization because it's open. It's all the pieces you can move the pieces everywhere. It's not enclosed, you know, and it messes with me. I don't know. It's just me. Other people probably won't have that problem. Well, other people don't, because I know it's a big, you know, a lot of people use it and love it.
You either love that or hate that. I think I didn't like it to begin with. I've come to be okay with it. And actually one advantage with that, so I can totally see why that messes with you. But if you have 2 monitors, you can actually put different windows on different screens. So for example, you can put the main screen or the main show screen on one monitor. You can have the comments on another, and you can actually make it the way you want it. And now they've just released, so Ecamm Live have now released an interview mode. So you don't have to rely on Skype anymore. You can bring people in via the web, which is really exciting. So you can have that little window on one of the monitors. So yeah, it's getting better.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I think is going just to continue to happen. These tools are getting better and better. I'm waiting for, things like calls to action on our screen and, but I've been asking for these things for a while. And so far, it hasn't happened, but I have faith that it will. So, Ian, while we're pulling all the winners in, before that, I promised you guys I was going to give you guys something at the end today. I partnered up with our sponsor, Easil.com, and we created a wonderful let me just pull this up. I'm actually going to just pull it up for you guys and let you see it, because I think seeing it is free images. Let me pull this up. It's a calendar of pre-designed content. So if you want to, like this internet situation that is not loving me, so it is going super slow. If it pulls up in the next little minute, here we go. I think we're almost there, really, really slowly. But essentially, it's 30 days of social media content. I'm just going to pop in. So I'm going to sorry, you do have to put in. Let me just do this backwards. That way you guys can actually see it, like I promised. But you can click on it, edit it, and brand it to your colors, download it, and you are off and away. And as soon as my computer decides it's going to load, or my internet connection decides it's going to load, you guys will be able to see this. Like I say, you can go check it out at kimgross.com/free images. Well, for some reason, it's giving me an error message, but trust me, it's there. Hopefully, you guys shouldn't have any issues. I think it's all me right now. So hopefully you won't have any issues getting access to that. But 30 days of free content, go grab it. It's pre-designed. All you have to do is go in and, if you want to change the colors or add your logo or whatever, boom, you're up and running. Now, Ian, while we're grabbing all the winners, where can people find out more about you, my friend?
Well, you can. My website is probably the best place. It's iag.me, and there's loads of blogs about live video. There's my Confident Live Marketing Show, which is a podcast and a live show. So best place to go is iag.me/podcast, and you can find out more about that. And I've carelessly scattered myself across the socials and the interwebs, so you can follow me on most of the social networks. Just search for my name, Ian Anderson Gray.
There you go. Yeah, he's got amazing content, very in-depth on his blog. So if you are looking for great live video content, you can't go wrong by hitting up his site. So we have Colleen is the winner of the ring light. Colleen, woo, congrats. And then Deb is the winner of the webcam cover. Again, congrats. And what is it? Is it kimgross.com/winner? Is that where everybody goes to get? Yes. So kimgross.com/winner. If you'll just drop in your deets there, like your address, so we can get that out. I was having a brain cramp. I was like, what do I need from these people? I need your mailing address so I can get the goodies out to you. And you know what we didn't give away was we didn't pick 3 winners for Easil.com. Oh my gosh. Well, maybe we'll just save that for the next time. How about that? So thank you, Ian, for joining us today, sharing your wisdom with us. Super excited that you were here and that hopefully everybody learned some great stuff. Yeah, there you go. Thanks. So here is IAG.com. .me. IAG.me is Ian's website, guys. Very easy to remember. Yep. So hopefully go check him out. You definitely want to connect. You'll learn a lot from him. Take care of yourselves, everybody. And we will see you next week, if not sooner. Stay safe and God bless.
Bye.